So the truth is, I really haven't been following politics for the past couple of years, mainly because it's just gotten so confusing to me. In fact, the entire world has just gotten way too confusing for me to make any opinions about most of anything. But I saw this story today, and well, it adds to the confusion, but I also thought it would be some good content for us to discuss because there are some fundamental issues that are being brought up with this new Trump administration move where he cut $67 million. Like, just pause for a moment and think about how much money that is. So he cuts $67 million, meaning like this has been traditionally spent on Planned Parenthood and other groups pushing explicit material to minors. I'll read a little bit and then of course I'll offer my opinion. The Trump HHS defunded federal money to Planned Parenthood affiliates and Democrat-run state and local governments due to curricula that normalizes adolescent sexual activity. Okay, so you got to pause for a moment and wonder what's going on here. Why is he against this? If this guy is the globalist that we're coming to believe he is, the Zionist that many are saying that he is, making some tough decisions that don't look so good to a lot of people, why is he so interested in cutting this money to Planned Parenthood and anything associated with adolescent sexual activity? Well, let's continue reading on. The Trump administration has disqualified more than 50 organizations, including Planned Parenthood affiliates, from federal teen pregnancy prevention programs. These dollars for using sexually explicit material that promotes rather than prevents youth promiscuity. So this is information that promotes rather than prevents youth promiscuity. So let's pause for a moment and talk about Planned Parenthood, abortion, youth promiscuity, because all this is really where the meat of this conversation is. So the founders of Planned Parenthood, I watched a bunch of documentaries, right? The information's out there, were known eugenists. Right? Eugenicist. Am I saying the right word? Eugenics. They're into eugenics. Right? I'm trying to sound smarter than I really am. But the word essentially points to this idea that certain races, certain types of people, right? People that maybe have deformities or retardations, and then of course, people of different races and social classes and stuff should be exterminated. This is a lot like what they said Hitler was trying to do with ethnic cleansing. Eugenics is a form of ethnic cleansing, but it's not just so. Like, once again, I'm using examples that I've learned. I don't know anything. But they say that, Hitler was seeking to exterminate a certain type of person in order to cleanse and have clean and ethnic homogenized culture. Okay, cool. That's very overt. That's very, clear. We're going to kill you. But Planned Parenthood does the same thing in a much more insidious way. And before I go on, I would like to just point out, once again, this is just information I've gathered, more babies have been aborted, so basically more murders. My opinion is that a life begins in the womb, so it's murder. More deaths have occurred at the hands of Planned Parenthood, abortion clinics, and the women and the men that support it than all of the wars of the 20th century combined. And it may even be more than that. I didn't go do diligence in order to get the actual number, but it may actually be more than that. It may be like more deaths than all American wars or all world wars combined, and maybe history, I don't know. But it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a ridiculous number. I don't have that number. I think it's something like 60 million in the past 10 years. But anyway, you go look it up. I'm not here to give you the facts. I'm here to talk about the foundation. What are we actually doing? Regardless of the number, there's a lot of deaths. There's a lot of deaths. What's going on here? I think there are a number of things that are going on here, and it's all layered with it's layered with a foundation once exposed as otherworldly, I think. So let's begin with this normalizing adolescent sexual activity and the birth control pill, right? The church has always been against contraception for many different reasons. We could potentially go into it. But then the next step, right, one of the reasons why is because sex becomes entertainment, and then abortion now becomes, well, a right and something that people will begin to expect. And in fact, if I remember correctly, the history of abortion and what was it? I forget the name of the court case, right? I'm drawing all kinds of blanks today, but it doesn't matter. That court case was won not by the consent of the people. That was like sort of like an orchestrated event, an orchestrated government event, a court takeover in order to allow that to happen. In fact, even like the amendment that gives women the right to vote, like, the women weren't clamoring for it. Women weren't clamoring to vote. Women weren't clamoring to abort their children. They needed propaganda to make them want these things. And we could even go into why and all that also too. But trying to keep it concise, trying to keep this succinct. So in order to get people to murder, you need some real solid propaganda. And the easiest propaganda to unfold and unleash on a society is the promise of easy pleasure. The promise of all good with none of the bad. I mean, isn't that what we all want, right? I was complaining a couple weeks ago about my drinking. I like to drink, and I just want to be able to drink and have no bad. I want all the good, none of the bad. I don't want the hangover. I don't want getting dumber, right? I don't want to waste my money. Well, what we want here is we want sex, we want pleasure, we want sex, we want sexual gratification, and we want it without the consequences. And so that begins with contraception. Contraception is the first step in that direction. And when you separate procreation from sex, you now have all of the good, none of the bad. Or seemingly, that's always how it's fed to us. You get all of the good, none of the bad. Even like the cell phones, right? Cell phones, it's all good, it's all good. Nobody ever talks about the bad, right? All these things. The internet, right? AI, it's all good, it's all good. Where's the bad? We wish we could separate. But when we try to separate, it's like trying to separate night from day, right? It's like trying to separate the head from the tail. You really can't do it, and you're going to frustrate yourself in trying to do it, and it's going to come back and it's going to bite you. You're going to fail. And the whole sexual revolution experiment has failed. It has clearly failed. And it started in the 1960s. I know Wilhelm Reich, I really love the work that he did with character structure and bioenergetics, but he also had a side of him that was diabolical. And they call him the father of the sexual revolution. And there were a number of things that he wanted to do, one of which was he wanted to make in particular, he said, the Catholic woman is too prudish. And he wanted to free her from her prudishness. He thought that would give some sort of liberation. But he couldn't. As much as he did in his psychoanalysis, he could not. He could not get them to, because their morals were too high. And it's a biological fact that women are more conservative than men. They have to conserve. They have to conserve their value. They got to protect themselves, right, from, well, the consequences of loose sex. Well, anyway, part of what Wilhelm Reich discovered was that if you just show other women behaving badly, women will follow along. And that was like that was the breakthrough. And then if you get women to do what other women to do, so they would have like, they would call them like plants, right? I forget there's a term, but like they would implant people. So Woodstock was a social experiment where there were plants. They put women in there that were actors, right? There's a term for that. But these women were actors. And their whole job was to put on a display to get the other women to follow along, follow their sway. Also on TV, you started seeing this. They recognized, a lot of this work, it's the psychology. It's psychology, right? The industry of psychology that started with Freud is psychoanalysis and so forth. Sigmund Freud's cousin, Edgar Bernays, understood that, when you show a beautiful woman doing something, men will follow that. He was the first one to say, put a woman on the hood of the car and guys will buy it. So now you got bad women who were planted on TV and in music festivals to behave badly to get women to follow the bad women. Because women are followers. It's just their nature. It's not a good or a bad thing, but they will do what they see other women do. That's why it's so important to keep older, wiser women around. And men. And then the men will follow the women. So the only thing standing in the way of the men following the women and the women behaving totally off the wall, and mind you, all this started in the 1960s. This didn't exist in the 50s and 40s and so on and so forth, was with contraception, to give them contraception. Now the women can have as much sex as they want and there will be no consequence because, well, they're taking the pill. Except now, 30 years later, 40 years later, there's a lot of cancer. And I know women in particular that they were sexually liberated in the 60s. And, well, I think of one in particular who I love dearly and died of cancer. Right? I'm sure there were other things that were associated with it too. But now people are starting to wake up oh, wow, these pills that they gave us for so-called liberation have come back to bite us. But what happens when there's an accident you can't even say accident because once you put penis in vagina, whatever happens is what's supposed to happen. There is no accident. But what happens then if the pill doesn't work? Or what happens if you don't take the pill? Or what happens if you don't use contraception? Baby comes. So now we need to take care of that by offering free baby murdering, free baby killing, right? Separating sex from procreation now opens up an entire industry that now floods the marketplace with promiscuity, and then the byproduct, there's still babies happening and babies needing to be killed as a result. So it makes you wonder, right? Like I said, this is layered. Okay, so why? Why promote all this, adolescent sexual activity, and so that women can and people, it's not just women, so men and women can have abortions. I saw this picture. You probably have seen it before of the ancient Babylonian god. I think his name was Moloch or something, and Israel. Right, the Hebrew people at the time were getting mixed up with this stuff. And there's this picture where Moloch is standing like this. It's like a big statue, and there's fire all around. And they would give their babies to the fire. So these were women who didn't want their babies. They didn't have abortion back then, maybe. But what they would do is the baby would come out, and then they would offer the baby up to this demon of sorts. And I'm not so sure that demon worship that requires the eating of babies, the destroying of babies, the killing of babies, the taking of innocent life has actually ended. All the demonic stuff that's been coming out recently is sort of crazy. I don't know if it's true or not. Again, I don't know anything. We're living in such a diabolically disoriented time that I don't know what is true. I'm just yapping. I'm just talking because these are things that go on in my mind. But I saw this story that said Justin Bieber came out about what's going on in Hollywood and so forth, and he said that Taylor Swift was forced to eat a baby in order to make it in Hollywood. Why? It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder if that shit is true or not. It's just so barbaric and so off the wall. But then Jeffrey Epstein stuff. So when I say that it's layered, on the surface, it looks like pleasure, it looks like fun, but then it comes back and bites you. But it doesn't end there. It goes so much deeper. There's a history behind it, and there's a spirit behind it. And there's a spirit that wants destruction, that wants death, that wants to destroy. That's its modus operandi, simply to destroy. It's like entropy. It is truly the Lord of this world. Everything in this world is moving towards death. And there is a concentration of that sentiment that wants it now. And that sentiment is in you. This is why we self-sabotage. This is why we drink too much. Freud, giving him some credit here now, because I don't know anything. He called it the death wish. He says there's the wish, the life wish and the death wish, that we all have this death wish. There's there's this side of us, there's something in us that makes us seek destruction, either our own self-destruction or to destroy that which is around us. It's a power, it's a principality, it's not a person, although it uses people. Are there reptilians? I don't know. Are these people, are they demons? Is there a spirit in them? Or is there Satan inside them? I don't know. But I know there's a little bit of Satan in every single one of us, and we live in a world, like David says in the Psalm, I was born into the sin of my mom's womb. Like the world is flooded with this stuff. It's coming in anytime we are distracted, even by news stories like this, and I'm just trying something different by talking about what's in the news, we are, like Christ said, divided. So you can't be divided. You can't love and worship God and mammon at the same time. And all this is mammon distraction. All of this is mammon distraction. What do we do? Look, I'm not here to rant and rail. I'm grateful for the fact that our president, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure about a lot of the things he does, but he's taking, and then again, poses the question, like, whose side is he on? I have no idea. I have no idea, because there are things that he'll do that I know are of the enemy, but then at the same time, he's taken away $67 million from this eugenics organization that's designed to kill babies. We're moving into a season, we're moving into a world, an era, awareness, awakening, and higher spiritual ideals. And that's why stuff like this irritates people, because just 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when I was growing up, something like this was just normalized. Planned Parenthood was totally normalized. People wouldn't think twice about it. A lot of the things, even the food that we eat, the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, the wars that we're in, there was a time when nobody questioned any of this stuff. Now everybody's questioning everything. I'm sure the internet has a lot to do with it, but what is that going to do? It's giving us food for thought, and the food starts, you get so much food, and maybe you eat so much food that you're disgusted by it, and then you want to start fasting. I think that's why fasting is making a comeback also too. So how do we deal with this? That's really what I'm getting at right now. How do we deal with it? What do we do? What do you and I do, dudes like us? We can't feed it our attention. We can't feed it our attention. I'm feeding it its attention right now because I'm trying to get attention. But we can't feed it our attention. In other words, we can't let ourselves become emotional about it. We can't get angry about it. We can't get passionate about it. We can't think that we need to go out there and do something about it, hold up signs and rally about it, right? All these things are investment in mammon. They're all investment in mammon. The best we can do is to look and to marvel. Gee, I wonder how God is going to make this good, because all things work out for the good for those who love God. All things will work out. In the end, he triumphs. But if you think you need to do something about it, you think you need to rail about it, you think you need to fight about it, you're trying to solve the problem at the level at which the problem is created. So when I said we're moving into a spiritual renaissance, we're moving into a world where none of this will... The only reason why stuff like this happens and is present is because the enemy feeds on our emotions, feeds on our fears, feeds on our angers. But we're coming to a place where we'll be able to rise above. We will literally leave this third dimension, this density, the third density. And we don't have to leave the body to elevate the third dimension. We just have to abide in him. We get to abide in God. We get to rest in divine providence. We get to know that it will all be just fine, even if it's coming at us. Even if it's, look at Christ. It came down hard on him. But in the end, goodness prevailed. We can get into the flow of that goodness. We can get into the grace of that goodness by not attaching, being detached, not grasping, not needing, not being emotionally invested in the things of this world, and putting our trust in the peace. Check this out. This is an experience, not an idea. This is not an idea. Most of our spirituality up until this point have been ideas. Well, what does the Bible say? What does the Quran say? What does the book say? And How can I memorize the words? And how can I get the right theology? How can I get the right information? How can I put it all together? We're transcending even beyond that to a peace that's beyond understanding, as it says in the Bible. Look at what the Bible is pointing to. The Bible never points to the Bible. That's why those who worship the Bible are a little nutty, in my opinion. Bible, 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 Bible. But they don't see, they're like Bruce Lee says, don't focus on the finger. Focus on the moon that I'm pointing to, or you'll miss all of the celestial glory. We're moving into a world where we're going to stop doing this, worshiping the finger, and we're going to start looking up, and we are going to rest in the peace beyond understanding, the peace of Christ.